Hey everyone, it's Emilie Shapiro here today with an industry interview. I'm talking with my friend Alicia Goodwin of Lingua Nigra Jewelry. I'm so excited to be chatting with you selfishly because I am a huge fan of your work, but I feel like I don't really know a lot about your jewelry background story. So that's why these things are really fun for me personally. So thank you. How's it going, Alicia?
It is going well, Emily. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's going pretty good. It's going
I
pretty
was
good.
I was trying to think, I actually don't remember how we know each other. Is it just, I don't know, I can't pin it down to one specific thing, or if it's just from I don't know, the jewelry world.
I took a class at Lil Aviv.
Oh my God.
I know. I took a class at Lil Aviv. I think it was like a stone setting class. That was a long time ago. I was biking
Okay.
all over. Now I live in Chicago. If people don't know, I live in Chicago, but I lived in New York for 20 years. And that was like my era of biking everywhere and being in such good shape. Um, yeah. Sorry, just it was like a
I
two
I
weekend class.
feel I feel like a lot of that time of my life is just memory wise is just it just is all one piece now. It's so weird as you get older and then there's
Hmm.
a whole decade that's just compounded. And
Hmm.
so yes, now I can see your face at Lila Vive.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, anyone who doesn't know, Lila Vive is a jewelry school in Williamsburg that I used to be the program director and teach there, and was a fun, magical place where I met a lot of really cool people.
Yeah.
So I love to know just how did you, I know you're in Chicago now. You're from Chicago originally,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yeah.
How did you get started in jewelry design? How did you, I want to know how you started learning and all that.
I started learning when I was a child. I made jewelry. I think I was 11. I was in the fifth grade, and there's a store. It's funny. It's been closed for like 20 years, but the stuff is still in there.
Wow.
And I'm from the east side of Chicago, and my mom is a teacher, and she would go in. It was pretty much like a junk store, like a little bit of everything, but they had school supplies. So she'd bring me in there with her, and they had mood rings. And so I bought the mood rings. They were like 50 cents. And then I resold them to my classmates for 50 cents,
Okay.
which is not, there's no
Hustler.
markup. I know, I didn't know about margin or markup or profit. So, but then they turned everybody's fingers green. So I got discouraged with that. And then the next year, I think that summer, I took a jewelry making class. And actually, even before that, I was making stuff out of Sculpey. There used to be a place that was amazing. It was called Frank's Nursery and Crafts, way ahead of its time. And I would get jewelry supplies from there. But I took a summer camp. My mom always had me in summer camp, and I took a class with one of my friends. And and it was just repetitive. We were making circles and shapes and out of wire and
Mhm.
putting ear wires on them. And I was like, oh, I can do this. So then we went back to Frank's, and I got wire and all these things. And then I started putting beads on them, and started selling them to my teachers and friends.
I love
Um,
this hustler side of you that not only were you always making, but you were always looking for that opportunity to sell.
Always little baby Alicia went with fat pockets and a savings account. It was
Hell yeah.
hilarious. But yeah, I thought I was gonna be a fashion designer. That kind of
Mhm.
went on the wayside. I didn't know anybody who made jewelry. They didn't really talk about anybody who made
Mhm.
jewelry. You look in the magazines. So I thought I was gonna be a fashion designer for the longest time. I would draw. In high school, I would draw friends' prom dresses and get paid to do. I would draw for obviously to get paid. I was the president of the fashion club. Um, I I was really into it because my dad was the manager at a pillow factory. So I had
Cool.
I had all this this fabric.
Fabric.
He would bring fabric home. So yeah, I learned how to sew really well in high school, and then I went to fashion school here in Chicago, and then I went to fashion school in New York at FIT, and I did 2 years there. Loved it, hated it. Tried to get a job. I was like, this is
Did you,
not
sorry,
happening.
did you study fashion at FIT?
I did. I study fashion. Yeah. So, and if people don't know, FIT it's still considered a community college, but they have master's degrees now. So they're like, you know, la di da.
Yeah.
but it's a 4-year college. It was a 2-year college,
Yeah.
and a lot of my professors have 2-year degrees, or well, I guess not anymore. They kind of forced them to not have 2-year degrees, but it's a great place for industry. A lot of the professors really know the industry. So yeah, I got a 2-year degree in fashion, and then when it was time to, you do upper and lower division. When it's time you have to apply for a bachelor's, but say there are 300 people in the lower division, there are only 100 people in the upper division. And I was like, I'm not feeling it this hard. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun. I was interviewing, I wasn't getting anything. And if the jobs that were offered were the pay made absolutely no sense. And I know, anybody whose parents could pay for things and intern could do it. And I definitely couldn't. So I didn't want to do it. So I went across the hallway from the intimate apparel I was taking corsetry, was jewelry. I was like, you know what, I want to try jewelry. And I told one of my friends, and he was like, you wear jewelry all the time. You collect it when you go to the flea market. I don't know why you didn't do that in the first place. I was like, I don't know. So I interviewed with the director, the chair, Michael Cohen. And
Michael Cohen, I haven't heard his name in a long time.
I know, yeah. He's still there. He's not the chair anymore, but he's still there. And he was like, there are 2 departments. Which one do you want to do? I was like, I don't know.
Right, because they had like a technical design.
Yeah, it's design, like painting and
rendering.
Now it's computer, but our teachers were not about that. It was painting and drawing, and then studio. I was like, I have no idea. And I showed my portfolio was all fashion. I didn't even have any jewelry. I think I showed him jewelry I like made, like it was Baltic amber on a string. I don't know. I got accepted. All that to say. And I really enjoyed it. I did the 1-year program, so it was 2 semesters in one. Do not recommend to people you're not supposed to work. At the one time I had 3 jobs. Yeah, I didn't know what I was going to do after I graduated. I barely graduated because I had 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're really, it's such an intense program. But I worked right after that. I worked at Philip Cranji, I think was my first job.
Yes. Oh my gosh, all these like fun things I haven't thought about in a long time. Philip
Cranji. Right. Yeah, it's a throwback. And he lived around, I mean, he probably still does. He lived around the corner. I don't know how I found him. I was like, oh, his jewelry looks so much like mine. But in school, I really gravitated towards reticulation because I was so broke. Like I was so broke. I didn't buy silver. I definitely didn't buy gold. And this silver was $4 an ounce and gold was $400, but that was my rent. So I can't even like fathom that, or couldn't fathom that. So I just worked with everything in brass. If it couldn't be done in brass, I wasn't going to do it. So I just learned how to master certain techniques that people really only know or are really specific to sterling or silver or fine silver. I did it in brass. So I kind of perfected the reticulation, which is heating up with metal over and over and over until the alloys separate, if people don't know. Yeah, and it makes really pretty mountains and ridges. And then we learned how to acid etch, and I was like, oh, this is really cool too. And it was just kind of, I was working so much, I just kind of did the assignments. And then one of my jobs, I worked at Mama's Food Shop, which is no longer, but they have really good food in Alphabet City and in the West Village. And my boss, and who also worked at Tel Aviv's car service, which is now called Dial 7. And, and my boss at the restaurant was like, I know you hate it at the car service. Why don't you quit and we'll give you more hours? And I was like, you guys fire people all the time. He's like, no, you won't get fired. I was like, okay. So I quit Tel Aviv, get more hours briefly, and then get fired at the restaurant. So then I don't have either job.
No.
I know. But the plus was I was finally able, for like the last 2 months, maybe, I was stressed out, but I was able to finally make things that weren't part of my assignment, kind of really think out the box, because there were so many talented people who are still, there aren't that many people who are in the industry who I graduated with, but the ones that are, they were really just incredible jewelers from the beginning. I will say that was really nice to explore. But yeah, I worked at Philip Cranji with him and his sister, Courtney. If people have never heard of Philip, he's an amazing jeweler. He was really known for steel and gold. And he had a bridge line called Giles and Brother. And that's still going. But yeah, after that, I worked on
Like,
47th Street.
Thousand Brother to me, like, is the quintessential when you think of men's jewelry,
Hmm.
right? Just like really like substantial, like hardware-y, like
Yeah.
I feel like I still see it everywhere too.
Yeah. I mean the railroad
Yeah,
spike
railroad spikes.
bracelet.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That was a fun, and he worked a lot in brass too. He had the other brass with stones, and it was beautiful, beautiful work. That was really cool. And I'm still friends with people that I worked with there.
very cool.
Um, and that was 23 years ago. Um, so yeah, then I worked for this woman on 47th Street. Mind you, I'm broke as a joke. I think I was about to be homeless. I was about to be homeless. I was in between housing. I had one roommate. It was a whole bunch. It was so many roommate things. Um, goodness, this is yeah. So I wasn't doing that much of my own
Yeah.
jewelry until I worked on 47th Street for this man, Dan Pellegrad, who's still working. He's still there. Um, Dan is very much a character. He's very good Romanian guy. And then I realized I was like, I could not work on 47th
Yeah.
Street. People get up at they get there at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I would roll in at like 9 or 10. He's like, "You're late." I'm like, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, this is not, I can't do this."
It's
And
not for me.
it's all men. The stone setter's like staring at me most of the day.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is weird. Um, so once I realized that I worked for this woman in oh goodness, where not Park Slope, in Clinton Hill. She
Mhm.
just bought a co-op and she wanted to set up her jewelry line. And so I ended up working full time for her. She called it an apprenticeship. It was totally exploitation. She was paying me $600 a month, which is $3 an hour. And we even at that time was nothing. And I worked for her for almost like 40 hours, 35 hours a week,
Goodness.
making yeah, but I will say I learned a lot about stones with her.
Mhm.
I don't learn. We didn't really do a lot of stone stuff. I have to 1 year program. I learned a lot of stone stuff. I learned manipulation, wire wrapping. So I did learn, but it wasn't. I mean, she could have paid me a better
Yeah.
wage. And then I think it doubled in like 3 months. So I was making $6 an hour. Whoa.
Ooh, girl,
I was
moving
so
up.
I know I was so broke. I would walk. Well, oh no, that was when oh yeah, I got kicked out of that place. Then I had an apartment, which was really funny. One of her friends, I was looking for a place, and yeah, one of her friends was like, "My boyfriend has a place," and I ended up moving in with his Russian father, in a 1 bedroom in Crown Heights on
You
Brooklyn
need to write.
Avenue.
You need to write a book.
No, I know it was a lot. It
You need
was,
to
and
write
that
a
was my
book.
third apartment on that same avenue. I lived on in 3 different apartments on Brooklyn Avenue, and I lived with an Edward Yurchenko, who's the exact same age as my father. So it was really funny, and my cat, who wasn't really my cat, he was my roommate's cat, but I ended up taking him. But by then, I was setting up. I was making rings. I was working at American Apparel and making rings out of wax and a soldering iron.
American Apparel throwback.
I know. I
Wore
have
an
any?
I wore an American Apparel tank yesterday, and I thought to myself, Emily, this is so old. It's like see through. I think it's time to let it go.
I know. It's we did an anniversary last year, a few of us,
That's
an
fun.
American Apparel anniversary. I was like, let's come hang out in New York. I'll be in New York. Let's do that. It was really fun. But yeah, people would always stop me. By this time, I was after hours with the lady in Clinton Hill. She would let me work on the bench, but she had like a butane
Hmm.
setup,
Hmm.
which I don't know why she had a butane. I guess people were just really scared of like
Yeah,
acetylene
yeah.
oxy.
A lot of people go for butane instead.
Yeah, oh my goodness. It is it and it was yeah. It was like butane and oxygen, I think. And it was a
Yeah.
setup. You turn it and it's on the floor. It has a little lift and it doesn't last that long. And but I got things done. I would wear my bracelets all the time and people would ask. I would just get stopped everywhere on the subway. Like, where did you get those bracelets? Those are amazing. And at the time, I wasn't plating anything. Everything was brass. I was using like uh, a higher yellow brass.
Hmm.
And this is when I finally went to metalliferous. because I never shopped at Metal Lifters in school because they were saying how mean everybody was, and I didn't realize I had anxiety. So
Sure.
I was like, I'm never going in there. But after I did, but all that's Metal Lifters was an amazing store, if no
Yeah.
one knows, and they had every single thing known to man for
Every
jewelry,
finding, especially
every
like so
finding.
many glass findings that it's just that it's hard to find in person now.
Yeah, yeah,
To
it
really
was.
see it in front of you. And
Yeah, it was such a great little store.
yeah.
But the people were really mean. So I never
Yeah.
I never went until then, but they had brass. They had all these different brasses. And you're just picking stuff. I'm not thinking that this would ever be a bigger thing. But yeah, people ask me, and then I think my first wholesale order, um, the woman I was working for, she had a sales rep who's still a sales rep who I saw at Capsule, and it was why it was just a weird throwback. And I think she needed something done. She was a Japanese sales
Okay.
rep. And
Okay.
yeah, she knew what.
No, I just was about to guess who it was.
Do you know Lena?
No, but when you said
Okay.
Japanese sales rep, then I was going to guess someone else, but no, it's not her.
Okay. Yeah, she would just do these mysterious orders. She would say, like, I have a customer and you need 1,400 necklaces. And that was it. And she's like, my boss was like, I don't know who this is for, but I had to make 1,400 pearl necklaces for this person. We're making all these things and wire wrapping. And one time she got on her knees and was like, you have to finish this. You have to promise me this is going to be on time. If you do this on time, I will make a wholesale order for Alicia. I was like, how did I get in this? How did I get in this? I'm nobody. Like, what? Don't put me in it. I mean, thank you, but no, thank you. So I ended up making
all of a sudden the collateral.
Right. I was like, what? Yeah. So she was like, oh, do you want this? I have a wholesale order for you. Just make a line sheet. I went to Kinko's and I had like 15 pieces. I had a whole bunch, everything was reticulated. I had like I didn't call them moon earrings, but they looked like moons. They were reticulated discs. And then I cut different size circles in them. And then to finish off the circles, I put tubes in them. And I went to Kinko's, scanned all of those, and then cut out everything, put it on the machine again, used papyrus font. And then I think by that time I came up, right, I came out, I think it was Lingua Nigra then too, because I was reading a book. I was going to the library all the time. I have a computer. And so I was checking my emails at the library, the Central Library in Brooklyn. And I took out a book about mysterious or unique diseases. And that was one of them. I was like, that's such a pretty name. I think I'm going to name my company that. I'll I don't know, it just clicks. But yeah, I put that and I gave the line sheet to my boss's sales rep.
I actually feel like in my head I can see papyrus associated with you. I must have seen
papyrus.
Papyrus is now seared in my brain.
I know, right? I know. It's so dated now. It's so funny, but it was like the hot font. It was the font. It was supposed to, take over Times New Roman. So yeah, I gave her the line sheet. Her person placed a mysterious Japanese buyer placed an order. I did everything in brass. I snuck up. I don't think I didn't have a studio set up. I would sneak up to FIT and take my favorite professor, who's now my friend and who I stay with when I visit, Karen Bachman. She would let me sit in her class.
Karen, she used to teach at Tel Aviv.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
I think we had her teach for a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. She would say like, "Oh, well, just come to my class and sit in." So I would copy.
Did you do wax carving with her?
I did wax carving and casting.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and by that time, we cast like beginning to end. I think right after they fired the tech, so people weren't able to cast for a few semesters. I loved it so much. I was like, I can do this anywhere. So yeah, Karen was like, you can come and sit in my class. And so I just went to Kinko's and copied the sticker and then stuck it on my ID so I could just go in and out. And every now and then Michael would come in. I would just like have to duck down because obviously I graduated. So that's how I did the line. And I finished the line, gave it to my boss's sales rep. She gave it to the person. She was like, this doesn't look the same because it was a different brass. they're like, it's not as gold as the picture. And I was like,
Mhm.
well, it's not gold, it's brass. She's like, she doesn't want it. I was like, oh, uh, okay. Okay. So after that, I was like, maybe I should just get the stuff plated.
Mhm.
Knew the plater because Philip Cranchi used Dan Kane plating.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I used to work at Pamela Love. We used them.
Yeah, yeah. So it was on the same street. I knew
Yep.
Susie, who's still at she moved when they absorbed when T&M absorbed Dan Kane. She's upstairs now at T&M. Um So I used Susie, and I didn't even know. I was like, what color? She was like, what color do you want? I was like, I don't know. What color do you want to give me? And that's what happened. And so that was the story of a consistent gold color.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, this can never happen again. This is
No.
wild. And I learned a lot about line sheets and just production. And I did learn a lot. I was exploited, but whatever. I did learn a lot at that woman's place. So that was helpful. And then after I was at American Apparel. Um, where else? What else happened? Oh yeah, then the lady ran out of money, so that ended. Even though she hired me back a little bit later, and then I was looking in the Women's Wear Daily for
Mm.
like jobs, and something popped out, and it was Lee Angel, which Lee Angel is technically is still
Angel.
around. Yeah, Roxanne. Now it's called Roxana Sulin. It's owned
Wow.
by Roxana Sulin. Yeah, I applied and I got hired as a design assistant. And we just did specifications, which no designer wants to do, but eventually it would become like this really money making thing for me because you're just measuring jewelry all day. And send it because you want it correct to sense of the factory. It needs to be really exact and concise and to the point because it might be translated in several different languages. So yeah, that was a really great place to learn too, like production, the way it was set up. The CEO at the time set it up, even the flow of the workspace. It was in a loft, a whole floor in Soho. Now it's a WeWork, which is wild. It was Spring and Broadway.
It's like the most New
So
York thing
yeah,
you can
oh my
do.
goodness, a Halloween. What's the Halloween store?
Oh
The
yeah.
liquidation.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
it
yeah.
seems
That's like
like.
yesterday. Yeah. I was like, oh, this used to be my favorite vintage store, and now it's like a freaking Halloween
Oh,
store.
yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were there. It was a lot of people, and even as a young, I was like, what, 25? There was just a lot of, he kept on hiring people more and more. And I was like, I don't think we're that busy. Like I'm specking, so I'm busy, but I don't see any business happening because
Mm.
the way the place was set up, it was production all the way at the end with Abby and her girls doing Lee Angel, which was almost always in house or made in New York and made in the US. They would do castings and stuff. That's also how I found my first production
Sure.
cast, who I'm
Mhm.
still with. Um, Oh my God, 20 years later. Wow. Almost 20 years later. And then you had the two designers, Tara and Neville, and they had their own separate office. And then there was a big corner office for Roxanne. And then we were next door doing, oh no, that was later on. We were in the hallway. Never mind. We didn't even have an office. But we were chopped liver.
You're
We
like,
were on
you guys are cool working in the bathroom, right?
right. We were in the hallway. We were next to the kitchen. We were in between the kitchen and the copier. Um yeah, I forgot, oh, the product development. There was like a diffusion line, and there was press with Anthony, and then there was uh, the other product development folks for overseas, like other uh, white
Like, yeah.
label, private
Yeah.
label
Yeah.
things. And then you had shipping, and then there was down the hall because it was the entire floor, a whole other office of salespeople.
Wow.
It was out of control. I was like, well, there's so many people here. There's so many people. I don't see this much business. The CEO passes away. Come to find out, there was no
Oh
business.
yeah, 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 yeah. I remember that. Yes.
Bananas,
Right?
bananas.
Wasn't there a big article in like WWD? Right?
Yeah,
When
probably. Yeah, because every time we would have a meeting, I'm like, we're closing. It's like we're
yeah.
closing. We're closing. And they're like, oh, he passed away. I was like, oh, okay, we're not closing. And then after that, they were like, oh, they did at the time American Idol. Remember when they would separate people, and if you were in one room, you were out. If you were another, you're in. Somehow they thought that was a good idea to do.
Oh my
So they put us in two separate rooms. I was like, I'm not getting paid enough. I know I'm in. Like, I know I still have a job. I'm not getting paid anything, but I have a full-time job. At the time, we had the best benefits. We had, what was it? I forgot what health insurance. It's not around anymore, but it was amazing. Oxford.
Oxford. I like knew you were going to say Oxford.
Oh,
I used to
Oxford health insurance. Oh my goodness, it was the best health insurance ever. Um, yeah, so they put us in two separate rooms and just mass fired people. And I was like, and when they did that, they put us in two separate rooms. I was like, we're closing. We're definitely closing. We're closing. We're closing. And we didn't. They're like, we're going to keep you guys. We're changing up some things, but they got rid of like half the staff.
I mean, there was a huge staff.
Yeah, it made no sense. We didn't have any business, and we owed people money, and it was wild, but it survived. It survived. And that, I will say, really, those things really helped me know like how to run and how not to run a business. And it's good. I get it. I totally get when people want to be on autopilot and you ran your business and you hired somebody, you think that they know what they're doing and they don't. They have their own issues, so they're not even really checked in, and that was the case. But yeah, I was there for like a year and a half, and then I went to, I think, Rachel Reinhardt. And the whole time I'm making my jewelry and I'm selling it here and there. And then I find an Etsy group. My friend, when I was at FIT, one of the tech people was like, have you ever heard of Etsy? And I was like, no, tell me about it. And I posted my stuff on there, and then I did nothing for like a year. And then I was like, I need help. I need some kind of support system. My friends don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't have that many.
Etsy groups don't exist anymore, do they?
I think so. There's still New York handmade. Yeah, I think so.
I feel like you in the Etsy group with oh my God, Jenny Tobin? Was that her name?
Yeah, Topolsky, Jenny. Last month. Yeah.
She's so sweet and very talented wax carver.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I've worked in her room. I was in her studio. She lets me stay.
I remember her place in her apartment.
Yeah, she lets me stay there sometimes. She knows how much I miss New York. So, but yeah, it was such a great time. Like, we were all excited. I was like, oh, this is great. I can sell my work and get all these new things. And the internet was still kind of new in a way.
Yeah, I think selling products on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, because Etsy was still like 3 years old. Pinterest, we found out about Pinterest. That helped. That was crazy for me. But yeah, people would just put everybody else on. But we would also still do shows together, organize, do things upstate, out of state. We would go to Boston and do a show every now and then. And that was my first real wholesale order at, oh my goodness, I forgot the name of the store, but it was a beautiful store. It was like ABC Carpet because it was co-owned by the person who founded ABC, one of the people who founded it. And I just kept on getting orders. Maura McPherson, that was the name of it. Maura McPherson. It was a beautiful store. And yeah, the buyer, Eve, who I still talk to.
You're good at keeping in touch with people.
I am. People tell me that. But that was really cool to like realize just wholesale markup. She was telling me what their margins were, and I kind of just stuck with that forever. And what sells and what doesn't, and knowing that I didn't have to do shows at the time, because that was another thing back when I was working for the woman. She had a sales rep, or she was in a showroom with 2 sales reps, and we would do coterie. Super expensive, and she did okay the first time, but the second time I think she made 1 sale the whole like 3 or 4 days. It was so bad, and it was bad because there were people across selling belt buckles
probably like all day long. It's the worst, right? When you're across from someone and they're just selling all day long.
I mean, I don't even think they sat down. They were selling so much. And I was like, "Ooh, I don't need to do this," like, okay, because it's all an investment. But yeah, I mean, I've worked with so many places. It's not even funny. It's not, I mean, yeah, I worked.
So at what point did you like really take the leap into like, I guess like transitioning to like where you are now?
When the bottom fell out of the jewelry industry. I was freelancing. I think my last full-time job was at Stella and Dot, which I did not like. I won't say anything else about that. I did have a really great tan though. It was in Soho too, and it was a window, and I looked so good. Everybody would be like, "Where'd you just come from?" I'm like, "Work." There was a window in
A
front of me.
window.
Window. I was freelancing for several years. I was consulting. I worked at Juicy. I worked at any jewelry company, Kate Spade, any Tory Burch, Chris Burch's company, and that gave me more freedom to work on my work. But then the bottom fell out. Like I was so busy, I made a class at FIT to show people how to do specs because I couldn't keep up. But then all of a sudden, it went from we'll pay whatever price, and loving the work to ooh, this is expensive. Can I pay you $12 an hour for this? Like what? I can
Yeah.
get an intern to do this, or maybe why don't you do all this work and then when it sells, I'll pay you. Like that's not how this works. That's not how this works. And your parents are literal diamond dealers. Get out of here. So yeah, the bottom fell out. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just work on my own work. And by this time I had a 2-bedroom and so the in Brooklyn. And so the bigger bedroom I made my studio. And yeah, it just kind of started to work from there. And this was like 2017, 2016. They were building the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And I think some buyer just put in Black jewelry designer. I don't think they were that creative with finding me. And because they contacted me on Etsy, they didn't even go through
Right.
any other channel. And they asked me to send my work to them to have it considered for the store. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Let me just put this together. And it worked out. And I don't think they knew how popular the museum was going to be. At the time, the store was tiny, maybe
Mm-hmm.
100 square feet,
Mm,
maybe,
wow.
maybe 200 square feet. It's much bigger now. And this is the store, the museum in DC, if people don't know, one
Mm-hmm.
of the Smithsonian's, probably the newest Smithsonian.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was just so popular. They went through a few buyers, and the buyers didn't. I don't think they knew. Even though I'm like, this is handmade, things would just sell out so quickly. And
That's incredible.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. They're like, do you think you can restock? Do you think you can send stuff next week? Like, no,
No, you
girl.
could, yeah, order more. Come on.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm getting my stuff from Rhode Island. They take forever, and then I gotta make it and then send it back to Rhode Island to get gold plated. Um, so that I think that helped and picked up. Etsy helped and picked up. So yeah, yeah. And then I moved to Chicago. And I think I was able to focus more on just my jewelry, and I'd been self-employed for so many years. It just helped. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know.
Here, look at you. So
Definitely after the NMAC thing and then the bottom falling out of consulting, definitely made me like not pivot, but really focus more on
sure
jewelry. I
you
didn't want
were
to do
kind of
like
forced to do it.
yeah, because I
Yeah.
didn't want to do shows. I would do shows in New York and I would make like $300. So um yeah, and I knew it wasn't me. I was like, I know I have good stuff. Or I would do like a little street show by me in Flatbush and make several $1,000s, like with the table at the train
Yeah.
station in the middle of the street. Like, oh, okay, all right, that would help. But doing bigger shows that we would put on with Etsy, I was like, oh, I'm not making anybody, and I'm at the front of the door.
Yeah.
And then I started doing wholesale shows, and that helped a lot, even if they were not that great, like Capsule, which is no longer around. But yeah, most of the time I got orders organically,
Mhm.
and then just worked it from there. So yeah, yeah. And then once that happened, the buyer, who she's no longer there. The last buyer, Molly, from the Smithsonian, introduced me at a craft council show to the Smithsonian catalog buyer, and that was a really great connection. So yeah, I think things just grew because other buyers would go to the museum and see and pick things up. So it's been pretty good. And then I post when Instagram finally came around, and uh, I was posting. I mean, I'm still posting, y'all. I'm still here. I was posting all the time. I think I was following someone, another jeweler who didn't really make their work, but they were more so a photographer. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I gotta stop posting pictures of my cat. Like, let me. I was like, I need to like really be serious about this. I feel like it was more. It wasn't really when people were like social media, social media, social media. You know,
No.
Instagram where it was chronological, and you really got to see everything you wanted to see. And
Yeah.
I just got really serious. Like, if people scroll all the way, there's still like a picture of my first cat, Bruce, and just silly stuff.
Living there,
But
living on the grid.
yeah, I got serious. I would listen to Side Hustle Pro, a really great podcast about women founders. And somebody said, like, have somebody make your mentor. And I made this woman my mentor in my head. And I was like, she takes really good photographs. And I have this beautiful light box that they don't make anymore. I think did I give it away? No, I still have it. It's broken. I need to give it, it's such a good light box, but it's broken. And I would just finally take really good photos. So yeah, I think that really helped too. And then I have the website, and Jessica of Artisan put that together. Artisan was a shop, a New York based, New York made shop, in Borum Hill in Brooklyn. So yeah, she put my shop together online, and yeah, that definitely helped. So I knew better not to spread myself thin, but to spread, have more than one source. People always relied on only Etsy, and I knew I didn't want, and that was when Etsy was really good. I knew I didn't want Etsy to be my one and only. I needed to have another source. So yeah, yeah. And then I have a wholesale website that does really well. It's like more than half my business now.
Mhm.
And people can just order whenever. And every now and then I'll do a trade show or a show. Now I do little shows. I don't know. I get so tired.
Yeah.
So, and it maybe be different if I lived in New York still, but I just try.
Shows are really tiring.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
live,
yeah,
it's a lot of work.
yeah.
Um, so this was fascinating. I thoroughly
That's
enjoyed
not a
hearing.
lot.
I have a question so long ago. What kind of teacher is your mom?
Oh, she was a kindergarten teacher for 38
So was
years.
my mom.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
second you said that, I felt so connected. And also, my dad, I guess technically is still a fabric salesman. So I also always
Oh.
have like fabric at home,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
like hot gluing shit on my Barbies.
Yep. Yep. I used to staple. He brought me an electric stapler, and so I would staple outfits. But I'm sure you
Nice.
had more of a variety. He worked at a down pillow factory, so it was the same. It was like this white striped
My
cotton.
dad, my dad specifically did lining for the
Oh,
inside of
okay. It's the
coats
same.
and bags and caskets.
Oh, ooh, that's not ever. You always have a customer.
That that's his words exactly. Anyway, so it was all like shiny, like satin.
Yep. Yep.
But anyway, I wanted to ask you that because I was like, oh, I feel like such a funny connection with that kind of
Yeah.
similar things. So you're a great follow on Instagram. I love following you on Instagram. I feel
Oh,
like I probably DM you daily back to your stories, but you post a lot of your wax carvings. I know that's like a big part of your work. Do you only make your models in wax carving?
no, no, I do three different methods. Wax carving, if I get to it,
Mhm.
is fun. I just don't have time. So I
Yeah.
bang stuff out. I do not do a traditional method of I know I teach it. I have a domestica course, y'all. But I teach the right, quote unquote, right way, but I do my like rushed way, and I just use
Yeah,
burrs and
it's good.
bars.
It's good. You have to know how to do it right to do it really.
Right.
I feel like to break the rules, you got to know the rules.
Yeah. So I'll do that, or I'll fabricate out of metal. That's like 50%. Maybe I guess it's 30, 30, 30, or I'll do both. So I'll wax carve, I'll fabricate out of metal and wire, and then when I cast the waxes, I'll add more of the fabrication to it.
Mhm,
If it's
mhm.
something like I really don't feel like doing, like a ring or something, or just some kind of connection, I'll cut and paste. I feel like a lot of my pieces are cut and paste. A lot of the times I'll make components and I won't know what I want them to be until they're cast.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times when things are done, I usually just make one. Then I send it to my caster to get made duplicates, like the necklaces, and just hope that the layout is right.
Yeah.
Most of the time, like 80% of the time, the stuff looks really good, and I don't have to tweak it. But because everything just gets so expensive with making models and samples. So yeah, I do a little bit of everything. And then if I really want to cast something, I'll cast it in cuttlefish bone.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that texture.
I could
Yeah.
still smell it.
Yeah, the fishy tech, the smell. So yeah, if I want something quick and fast and I don't really want to wait, I'll definitely carve it in cuttlefish bone and cast it because I love that technique. It's just so ancient.
Yeah.
So I really try to keep it nice, not nice, I guess nice and easy because most of the work, almost all the jewelry that I really love and admire and think is so dynamic was made before, like way before electricity.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Also,
Mesoamerican.
for anyone listening and like not knowing what cuttlefish casting is, it's I think they use them in what, like parrot. It's like a
Yeah, it's
white,
on the
like,
edge of
yeah,
the
to like sharpen their
pages.
beak or
Yeah.
something.
Hmm.
It's like really easy to carve into, and you basically like, carve a negative space, put it with something, what's it called? Not binder wire, binding wire.
Yeah, like steel
And,
wire.
yeah,
Hmm.
and then you pour a metal in it. So it's a primitive,
Yeah.
pretty low tech casting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's just
the bone has like a really cool, like almost like wavy texture, which obviously very much goes with your work.
yeah, yeah. And if you don't like the texture, you can, say,
Stand it up.
file it
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll do those three things. So yeah, or when I cast the wax, I'll etch it as well. I'll use acid etching.
Mhm.
Or I'll still reticulate, but I'll reticulate big sheets. I still have sheets from over a decade ago, and I'll cut from there. So there's some pieces that you'll see, and they'll have like three or four different methods in the same piece
Mhm.
because I just like to mix and match. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like I learned so much about you, and then was also reminded a lot that I probably knew already. I guess do you have any advice for like a young designer who's like learning and maybe looking to sell their work, or wisdom?
um, Always price your work correctly. Price it as if even if you only do one of a kind, even if you don't ever want to sell to stores, price it like you're gonna sell to stores. There's so many wholesale models. You have a book on it, and just make sure that you're getting paid to work because there honestly this excuse me, there's gonna be an offer that somebody is gonna give you that you cannot refuse. And
Some random person, who's making deals in Japan is just going to tell you they need 1,400 pieces, and you gotta be ready.
yeah, yep. And you won't say no, but you don't want to sit up there after the 1,399th piece being like, oh my God, I made $12 a piece
Yeah.
off of this when I should have making like 100, because you can't, after an agreement, you really can't back down unless it's something really drastic with the metal changes. So that would be one. Two, just work on your work. And it seems like people get really successful overnight, and that is not the case. It's just a lot of work. Yeah, just focus on being really unique and also document everything. Your future self will be very happy, very, very happy. Just documenting pieces, processes. Since I did specs for so long, I have a spec book of all my pieces and the costing. So just don't try not to make just stuff and then you don't know where to get things from. You will be kicking yourself. So just set everything up for future you is
Yeah.
the biggest
That's
thing.
really, really good advice. Yeah, kind of build your archive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
this was so fun. This was so fun getting to catch up with you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yes.
I really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. This was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you. This was great.
Where can you just like say your Instagram and website for anyone who wants to give you
Yes.
gonna follow?
Everything across the board is Lingua Nigra. You can find me on Facebook. I'm never on Facebook. Instagram, where I live, Lingua Nigra. I have my website, linguanigra.com. Pinterest, which I'm not on that much anymore, but I do have some really cute boards that are jewelry related, Lingua Nigra. Yeah. And then I have like 6 other Instagram accounts, which I think are in the bio. But yeah, I have a whole link tree. You can see old interviews that I've done and the domestica course. And I have a YouTube channel, which is also Lingua Nigra. Yeah, I only have like 2 or 3 videos on there, but I have a video showing some of my favorite pieces of jewelry with another jeweler. So that's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alicia. I really
Thank you.
it was so
Thank
fun.
you for having me. Thank you for having me. This is great.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.